I wouldn't know how much time we still have on this show, but before I go, I will pass the mic around for parting shots. But before then, Ridwan, you have an intervention?
Yes, I wanted to add to the point that Justina made. It's so important. The collaboration between the scientists and the journalists must happen. And it must happen in a way that makes sense. It's not just about bringing scientists and journalists for the scientists to come and say that, okay, this is what we expect the journalists to do, this is what we expect the journalists to do, and that's just it. The scientists must understand that the media has a responsibility that they need to appreciate as well. Scientists must communicate in a language that the journalists will understand. If I'm interviewing a scientist and he keeps throwing the jargons at me, mentioning velocity, mentioning turbidity and all of that, how am I expected to break it down to my audiences? So it's important that the scientists are giving media training, for instance, like media communication training, so that they know how to communicate to journalists. I think it is so important. And one thing, final thing that perhaps I'll add is that, and this is a challenge to ADRAP, I am hoping that in the next cohort, we would have community radio reporters, because they do an important job. They serve as a vital source of information for a lot of communities. I'm also looking forward to having somebody from the vernacular stations, because a lot of the time, they are the go-to sources for those specialists and researchers or African scientists or researchers. Because during one of the virtual session that we had, it was mentioned that we Africans, we don't have a database when it comes to having to report on the disease outbreaks in Africa, right? And the facilitator said that we depend on the global records, not like the way you put it, that we depend on the global records. What do you say? Yes, the global north. We don't, it's more as if like we ourselves, we Africans, we don't appreciate ourselves. Let's say we have African researchers, African scientists, but are we really reaching out to these people? Are we really like getting data from them? Or are we really reaching out to them to get information about what we are doing as journalists? And we having to depend on global north. It's more like we are not encouraging ourselves to, we are not encouraging African researchers and scientists to do more or to produce more, to give us information. So I would just say that if that collaboration will work, let's start within ourselves, within Africans, before going beyond. So I guess that's just
specific things. It was when you wanted to react, it means that media enlightenment is important, because the examples you gave, the speeches you gave, you practically buttressed. I just wanted to make that clear. And then the question for you, Justina, is you sponsor that kind of outreach. And for you, sir, it's just a simple question. I really want to know how you got around that issue. If it was resolved, where the community was suspicious of drones flying over them, were they enlightened eventually? Did they accept whatever it was that was going on? I want to know how. Thank
you. Okay. On my part, as journalists, we sometimes have to look beyond our job and look for other journalists with like minds. And that's what happened in most of these cases. Like in Niger State, we have a group of journalists. We call ourselves Coalition of Journalists Reporting Health, Maternal, and Neonatal Mortality in the state. So most of these health issues, we do that from our own self. We hold our meetings. We pay dues between ourselves. When we are going out for these outreaches, we use that as transportation to the places. Sometimes we print out little posters. I'm good in graphics, so sometimes I design it, and it's just the printing out that costs money. So sometimes we need to go beyond this if we really want to make impact. So it does not
existed within the colonial period. So we need to put that in context. I didn't say I disagree with her. Yeah, so the communities were eventually educated and they understood. And also what happened is that, and we also need to pay attention that politicians really play a role in terms of how, misinformation and disinformation is fueled. So they also went into the community and emphasized that, yes, this is what the government is trying to do. They are manning the drones to look at your nakedness. So it also shows that there's a lot of information gap, so we need to make sure that we get the information appropriately to people so that when they see some of these technologies, they can ask the right questions and not necessarily raise, alarm.
Okay. Regarding your question to Justina, I would like to buttress that media literacy is very, very important, right? And there is need to educate the people, and it begins with the generation that are coming up, right? And that is the role that all media outlets need to, like, they really need to work on, like having to, like, give training either to their reporters, and also go out to community, do outreaches to communities, and start the grassroots, right? Okay, that is one thing Dubawa does. I think every year they do this program, Week for Truth, whereby they go to they dispatch reporters, or let's say fact checkers, number of fact checkers, to different communities. They will go to schools, like primary or secondary schools in your local community, to teach them what media literacy is all about. Because this young generation, they have phones, right? They have access to the internet. They can do so many things on social media. And if they are not educated, if they are not enlightened about what media literacy is all about, once they see a news, they won't even know if it's fake or true. They just hear. You understand? So this is where media literacy comes in. Once we start from the grassroots, and we that are also adults too, it is our role as journalists, as reporters, to go out, to do outreach to our local community for them to be enlightened about what media literacy is all about. Thank you.
Yeah, while we are rounding off, my producer is already signaling me. But before we go, it's very important for us there is a particular topic that we discussed yesterday that I think is very relevant to this conversation, and that is the politicization of diseases in Africa. What do I mean by this? We have said it here, that there is no data. Even when data is presented, a reporter called me yesterday, and what did we find out? We realized that most of the health agencies in Nigeria, their websites not updated. In fact, one of them last updated its website as far back as 2016. So it's a terrible situation. And when I talk about politicization of diseases in this same country, I know of a senior official of government who traveled abroad with his wife when COVID was at the peak. And this official traveled, handed over to a subordinate. When this official returned, then testing for COVID-19 was central in Nigeria. So it is NCDC headquarters there where that thing was why test was being conducted. And the next thing was that both the wife and the husband traveled abroad for medical checkup. When they returned, we realized that the result of their COVID-19 test came. Both the wife and the husband got their results. The husband was positive. The husband was actually the official who handed over to the subordinate. And the wife, who was all at the same time, they went through the same processes, they were together and everything, and the wife was negative. So this man was kept home for a long period to check whether it would go negative. They went again, they realized that it was positive again. But this man never experienced any difference, nothing. He isolated himself. And he had to drive himself down to, and at the time, even the vehicle that drove him that he took to NCDC headquarters, they had to, nobody was able to touch it for about 1 hour after he left. And they took him in. He was doing very fine. He was Agwagwalada, and they realized that, okay, what is happening? They keep they kept on checking. At the same time, the result was also coming back positive. In fact, positive to the extent that that result that was being presented would mean that the person could not walk, was completely on admission, bedridden. But this man was even the one providing them water, providing them facilities because he's a big man. Until the doctor in charge now felt, okay, what do we do? Maybe the best thing that we are going to do is to take another sample. Because they kept on taking the sample there, the sample is coming back positive. So he now realized that, okay, what do I do? They had to change the name and change the labeling of the samples. So they took 2 samples. When they took 2 samples, they realized that, okay, one was labeled with its original name. The other one came with another name, different name entirely, as a new new patient. So when they took the samples to the NCDC, the doctor realized that immediately he got there, it is the officials at the testing center who were asking him was that he should be confined. And he was actually confined for more than a month in the hospital. So that is one of the politicization, the challenges that we have, the kind of the fraud in our system. So as reporters rising from here, let me go back to Ridwan. So rising from here, this is one of the reasons why we are not trusted with our statistics, with our data. Today you are going to hear Nigeria has 20 million out of school children. Next tomorrow you are going to hear Nigeria has 10 million out of school children. Everybody just bandy different figures around. How do you think, rising from the experiences, the lessons that we have learned from here, how do you think we can tackle this kind of challenge?
And that's what the West would always use against us. They identify where the cracks are. They leverage that, and they use it to their advantage. I think that we can fall on the Africa CDC. They have a lot of data, and I know that each country has their own CDC, and so we need to find a way of engaging them so that because even though they work with the government, but I think they also do their own independent monitoring, so they are able to get data. So it will be difficult for the government to manage information. And if you go to the Africa CDC site, you realize that it is updated every minute. The figures are changing. So that could be a source. Again, you can also fall on the WHO. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
So I think what Ridwan is advising us is to still go back to the West. But the West would definitely not come and conduct the surveys here. The survey is also still conducted by our home people who continue. But it is not. Is it leadership at this time? Is it the president that comes to the testing center to come and doctor the result? It is not. It is because someone somewhere collected money and he has been told that this person must always be positive and should continue to be positive because somebody else is occupying the office. And that's the reality. In fact, it got to a state that this matter was reported to the presidency. The presidency set up investigators, DSS, but we never got the result. So the challenge is this: how do we run the campaign among our home people that every single step that we take affects humanity? Whether it is for you or for me. We know when it is time for census, every single community, because they know that the number of the people that they count in your community will determine the social services that you are going to get. And as a matter of fact, based on that, they are going to doctor the results. You will see somebody in some environment, they say you cannot come and count our women. And the next thing is that you are going to be checking their leg. If that is true, I don't know. That one leg is out. At this moment, you count it as one. Another leg is put out. It's the same individual. It's counted as two. So at the end of the day, you are going to have a kind of a multiple result. When somebody tells you there is hardly any community in Africa that you are going to get, what you have is estimated population figure. No single area. But in some environments, even when a house is changed in terms of painting, it is recorded. But it is not the government that will come and carry out the survey. It is me and you. It is you that they are using. It is you that will go and conduct the census. When you go there, what happens? So how do we leverage on IT, on AI, on technology to be able to defeat? But
the unfortunate thing is this: it is what you input into this technology that it also brings out, because it is the human nature that will also conduct this thing. So, on this note, I want the parting shot from my guest, Abdul Basid. In just 1 minute, how has this been? What are you taking home?
How my take home is leveraging on the emerging technologies, that is artificial intelligence, the blockchain technologies, which we did a session day before yesterday about it. As an online media person, I think leveraging on these technologies will enhance journalism. Take example, the blockchain. When we are talking about data and database, if you take a blockchain technology where we store our data and have a comprehensive data, will take us a long way in the journey of data journalism.
Thank you so much. Justina, over to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to still toe the line of Abdul Basit. AI is the future. Okay, before it was said AI is the future, but AI is now. We need to learn more about AI, learn how to use it, learn how to work with it. Because if we don't, we are going to still end up telling the story the old way. AI will help us make our stories to be more engaging. It will make the purpose of this training, of this fellowship, which is telling our story the African way, to make it more impactful, make it more accepted by people. So we should employ more AI tools to our reporting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everybody is talking about AI, and I realize that we have tested this AI in different places. People who actually use their brain to develop articles are also faulted, because AI suspects that it is machine generated. We have asked AI to get us the about story of Olubadan, and what we got eventually is that AI is even claiming that the current Olubadan is the one that is late. So how do you marry this? AI, how much trust can we put into AI? Does AI solve the problem? Because I think WhatsApp, Meta has also introduced AI to it. So you just go there, you type what you want to ask, and it gives you, it goes around to go and search for this knowledge, search for the information you are requesting, and it brings it to you as if you are just checking Google. But you have to understand the fact that this is not the ultimate truth. Sometimes the information presented to you is outdated. AI cannot, because when AI is telling us that the Olubadan who is late is the one that is the current Olubadan of Ibadan, because AI could not separate. We have seen instances where you are using Google. Google took me around about 2-3 days ago, where we were going, the road had been blocked, and it was taking us, it couldn't understand that. So we had to resort to asking human beings on the street, because Google could not understand how the road could be navigated. So I ask, how do we manage this? Do we rely entirely on AI to give us the solution to our challenges? How do we manage?
I'm not saying we should rely solely on AI. There are several ways we can use AI. Like, we are talking here about working with researchers, looking at their journals. You can use AI for that. You can use AI to question some journals, bring out some pertinent information about those journals. So instead of like spending like 2-3 days trying to understand some terms, trying to read through it, you use AI to do that. You use AI for data analysis. You use AI to, you have a very large data, and you are trying to like look for a certain information from that data. You use AI for that. I use that a lot because I'm also a data journalist. So I use that a lot, and it has helped me a lot. Then you also use, I'm not talking about those who are trying to generate images with AI and the rest. Use AI, you can use AI for infographics. Canva goes a long way. You just, you put in your data, and it brings up bar chart, pie chart, a lot of charts for you. So that's the aspect of AI I'm talking about. It shortens your work. At the time you are trying to like draw your pie chart, bar chart, it just bring out the chart for you and you just have to select the one you want to use. So that's the aspect I'm talking about.
Thank you so much. Zainab, you are going, this session, this training continues, but so far, certain things have changed, must have changed in the way and manner you are reporting, will be reporting. But let me ask you on a final note, how do you think you can scale down the knowledge you must have gotten from here? How can you scale down the knowledge that you have gotten from here?
Okay, thank you. I think it started with this having to report on health journalism. It begins with us. It starts with us. Yeah, AI too can come in as should I say as a helping hand, right? But it starts with us. Okay, now let's say that we want to like analyze data. Yeah, AI can come in, but we ourselves we have to be accurate with whatever we want to do, right? Before now bringing AI on board. Okay, AI help me with this and that. So in terms of what I've learned so far and what I will still learn, it's about having to be factual with my reporting, and then be factual with my reporting, and also bring the new technologies too. Okay, 2 days ago we were introduced to new AI tools, how it can simplify our work for us instead of having to go through the rigorous stress of doing things on our own and having to like summarize. And also I've learned new things. I've been exposed to a lot of things here, and to the things I will still learn in the next few days. So I believe with all these things I'll be able to like be factual with my reporting, and be also use these things to be able to report well on health journalism. Thank you.
Yeah, our last speaker for now, read one. From what we have heard here, we are from Ghana. There is a need for a community of health reporters, whether we like it or not. Our brother Moses is from Liberia. He has kept silent all along. This is surprising. Thank you. Agwankese is here. Everybody is here. So now the question is this. We have a brother from Burundi. How do we build a community of health journalists that want to report from the African perspectives, rising from here?
I mean, it's surprising you ask this because the community has already started, and I'm sure you will hear about it soon. Last night, we spent a lot of time discussing that. You know, we came up with a few names, you know, so, and I believe so much in the team that we are putting together. And I'm thankful that this program has also gotten me in touch with some of the most brilliant people I have seen in the industry, you know, and you should wait. In the next few months, you will hear from us. And just to, and finally, on the bit about the AI, again, where is the AI coming from? It's coming from the West. How many Africans are at the forefront of technology and innovation issues? These are the questions that we are supposed to be asking. Can we identify AIs that have been, or AI technologies that have been developed by Africans? There are so many Africans. I was in a fellowship in South Korea in March, and there were so many Africans who are working for AI companies in the US. Is there a way to bring them to Africa to give us a sense of exactly what is going on? Because, I mean, there are data protection concerns. You are using these AIs, the thinking is that, okay, just making my work very efficient, but that could also be used to harm, you know, critical information that you think is well protected. So these are conversations that we need to have. We have seen a lot of young Africans who are the forefront of a lot of, you know, innovations in other areas. I mean, the area of climate change, we've seen a lot of, I mean, climate smart innovations that have been developed. What about AI? You know, and as journalists, I also think we have a responsibility to put the spotlight on young Africans who are, involved in these technologies, and that could set the basis for the conversation. Thank you.
On behalf of ADRA, I must thank you sincerely for being here with me. And to the audience who cheered us on and who also took part in this session, we thank you very much. We believe very strongly that part of what we are going to be taking home is not to disappoint those who have struggled to put resources together and bring in experts, is by advancing this beyond here, by ensuring that that community of excellent journalists do not just limit their work here, they can expand and extend it to other parts of Africa by bringing that collaboration that we want and ensuring that storytelling from African perspective is essential. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Majid, and the panel. We really thank you, those who have been with us online on this live stream. We thank also the live audience for what they've done, cheering everyone up. We are going to go for a break, a 30-minute break, and we'll be back to take the next session, which is on participatory methods in health journalism. How do we take indigenous learnings, meaning making, the approaches to traditional medicine and the so-called alternative medicine? What's the approach that African journalists are going to have to alternative medicine or traditional medicine, the traditional methods of making meaning? How do we leverage that in the new era as we progress in health journalism? Stay tuned, and we'll be right back after 30 minutes.